All right, so far we've learned how to sign in, sign out, upload, download, increment, decrement. Now, when we look at Firebase as a whole, it's actually pretty simple but very complex under the hood. Storage is pretty simple. There's more that we could cover, but it's actually pretty simple. Database, however, has a few gotchas that I really want to cover before we close this section out. We've been working with the real-time database, but there's a few key things. What we're going to do next is we're going to change these buttons around. We're going to set them to add data, remove data, set data, and update. Notice I said set and update. Those are two different things. And they act totally differently. And one of them will completely delete all of your information. So I want to make sure we cover that so you don't make the mistake of inadvertently deleting everything and then you spend all night trying to recreate it. So let's dive in here. Going to kill this and just going to scroll down. We're going to leave our current database file intact. Just for reference, we've got init, get counter, and set counter. And we're going to just start adding functions in here. We're going to say future, null, and we want to add data. And let's actually add a user in here. So we'll say string user. And we want to say database reference. Let's call this message ref. And we're going to say message ref. Really don't need the underscore. I just wanted to put it in there. We want the Firebase database instance, reference, child, and of course we need to give it a path. In this case, I'm going to say messages slash, and then we're going to give it the username because I suspect you guys are going to want to create data based on your user. Now in here, what we can do is we're just going to add some data. So we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than, let's say 20. And we're just going to add some data in here. We're going to say message ref.update. And we want to do a string. So we're just going to put a map up there, basically, is what we're doing here. We're going to say string. And then we're going to say key. Give it the number. And then let's give it a body here. There we go. And let's close that out there. Bang. Seems awfully confusing, and we actually have a boo-boo in here. Unterminated string literal. There we go. Still not working. What is going on? Oh, yeah. This guy, that guy. So we've got our unterminated string literal. And now we need to add that. Okay, seems confusing because it was confusing. So really what we got going on here is we've got our message ref. It's going to update, and then we're pushing a map. So we've got a key and a value pair. There's our key, there's our value. And we are pretty much done. Let's go into another one here. And let's actually remove data. And I'm just going to grab this because it follows pretty much the same pattern. Remove data is pretty self-explanatory. We're just going to go in here and wipe that data out. So we're going to grab this, and we're just going to go up here. And we're going to do remove. So now we've got add, we've got remove. Now we're going to do set data, and then we're going to do update data. So let's go ahead and grab this. We got our reference. We could have very easily just moved that up to the same line. I just want it to be very simple, very concise, so somebody coming into this can see exactly what this thing is doing. So message ref, and we're going to set. And notice how this wants a key value pair here. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to say string key, string value. So now we've got a key value pair. There we go. Now we're just going to copy that, paste that. I love copy and paste. It's like the best invention ever. And then we're going to actually update. And it's going to follow the exact same pattern. It's just going to be update instead of set. So we're going to flesh out our user interface, and we're going to really explore the difference between set and update. Add and remove are pretty self-explanatory. I wanted to add a few other little goodies in there, such as how to get the actual username and things of that nature. So let's go up here. And we're going to just leave all this stuff in just in case somebody needs it. And we're going to say string username. So first question is, we got a username. How do we actually get the user out of here? Well, that's a very good question. Let's go to our sign-in code. And you can see how we've got a Facebook off, I'm not sorry, Facebook Firebase off, sign in with Google, blah, 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 and then we're setting the state here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to say username equal await. Nope, we can't do await in there because it's not that. We could actually set that as asynchronous, but let's do it up here. Username equals, and we're going to await the Firebase auth. And we're going to add something in here called username. So let's jump into our auth. Let's go down here and we'll say future. Help if I could spell future. And we're going to say string. And we're going to await ensure logged in, make sure we are actually logged in, and then we're just going to say Firebase user. And then we want the auth current user. Then we're going to return the Firebase user UID, or the user ID. If you're wondering what in the world that is, let's take a quick look at our authentication. It's this right here. Remember I said this would be a unique identifier, or UID. Some people call that user ID. It's actually a unique identifier. I just call it UID. That way there's no argument at the coffee table first thing in the morning at work. So there we go. We've got our username. Let's go back into our database here. Oops, not our database, sorry about that. Go into our main here. Now we can just simply get the username right there, bang. Let's set our buttons. Let's nullify these for the time being. That way we don't accidentally goof with something. And we're going to switch these to add data, remove data, we are going to then set data and update. All right, now that we've got those in there, we need to just simply add our functions. And I'm leaving all the counter stuff in there in case somebody grabs this and they want to just play around with it really quickly without having to grab the other code out of GitHub. So we're going to say void add data, make that async. We're going to await Firebase database, add data, and we're going to give it the current username. Well, that was interesting. Let's go up there and get rid of all that. There we go. So really all we're doing is we're saying get that. Now we're just going to update the user interface. Data added. We can follow a very similar pattern here. We can just say bang, remove data. Now we're going to then we're going to get into setting and updating. So we're just going to grab this and we're going to grab that and we're going to say set data. Now when we look at this, we've got our user in here and we've got our key value pair. So we're not going to ask for the user in here again. What we're going to do is we're going to get this, say set data, and then we want key value pairs. So we're going to string key, string value. There we go. Because we're going to be setting on the current user, that's why we're not using it as a parameter. Grab this. And then we're going to do update data. Save signature, username key value pair. Let's go down in here. Going to add data. Let's remove data. Then we're going to, you guessed it, very simply do this. And we are going to set data. And we want to do, let's say key 2. And I'm just trying to think of something. This is a new value. Why not? That way we can just see that something was set. Let's say set value. This is a set value. There we go. Gotta grab that, paste that, and we're going to say and then in this case we're going to say key 2 has been updated. Therefore, we've got set and update. We can see the differences there. Let's flip over just to double check everything. We've got add with the user, remove with the user, set user key value, update user key value. All right, we should be good to go. Let's take a quick look at Firebase, go to our database before we make any changes to this, go into real time, and you can see we've got some information in here. I'm just going to go ahead and blow all that away, say yes, I'm sure, I don't care, get rid of it. And it shows you that, hey, it's all gone. And we can actually just get rid of that, and it's just going to keep saying null. Let's run this. It's going to take just a second to kind of churn away and do all of its stuff in the background. Once the APK is built, it will upload it to the emulator, and we'll see this bad boy run. So the whole point of this tutorial is understanding the fundamental difference between set and update. I could actually get rid of these, but I'm going to leave them for right now. So let's bring up Firebase. And let's bring up our emulator right next to it. We're going to add data. And you can see, bang, we have got all of these messages. So it's messages slash user ID or UID or unique ID, depending on who you're talking to. Just say unique ID. Anyways, so we've got our app, real-time database, messages, the specific user, and then the specific keys that we've added in there. We can go ahead and actually remove all that data as well. And you'll see it in real time, remove all the data. Let's add it back in, bang, it's all back in there. Now, this is the fundamental difference between set and update. I want you to pay attention to what happens. We said, what was it, key 2? which is this guy right here. We're going to set that. Notice how key 2 is set and everything else just goes bye-bye. That is what set does. Set takes the existing value, even if it's a map, and all underlying values and completely obliterates them and sets them to the value that you give it. Think of set as if you are going to replace something. So when you hear the word set in Firebase, think replace. Now let's add our data back in there. You can see that our data is in. Key 2 already existed, so it switched to body. Now we're going to update this time. Watch key 2 right here. Notice how update just updated that single key pair value, where set will obliterate all of this or replace it all. Just to demonstrate, bang. Key has been set. Now if we do update, what's going to happen here? You guessed it, update's only going to modify the existing one, so it doesn't matter if all or just the one are there. We do all and then update, you can see the fundamental differences.